Task number 4, HTTPS, accessing the web. When you fire up your browser, you may use HTTP and HTTPS protocols. You can see it over here. The HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. The S in HTTPS is from secure. This protocol relies on TCP and defines how your web browser communicates with the server, web server in our case. Some of the commands or methods that your web browser commonly issues to the web are get, post, put, and delete. You will work with these for a lot if you basically are a pen tester for web applications. A lot of web testing on pen testing on APIs will be on these kinds of HTTP methods. The get one retrieves data from the server, such as the HTML file or an image. Usually you will get the index.html, the default file. Post allows us to submit new data to the server, such as submitting a form or uploading a file. Put is used to create a new resource on the server and to update and overwriting existing information. Delete, as the name suggests, it uses the delete to delete a specified file or resource on the server. HTTP and HTTPS commonly use TCP ports 80 and 443, so 80 for HTTP, 443 for HTTPS, respectively, and less commonly other ports such as 8080 and A443. In the following example, we use our Firefox browser to access the web server on machine IP. When it appears with machine IP, you just have to open to invoke, let's say, their vulnerable machine. And then after you invoke the machine, basically it will automatically show the IP of the vulnerable machine. Our browser fetches the web page and displays it perfectly. However, we are interested in what's happening behind the scenes. Yeah, so we see that. Using Wireshark, we can examine the exchange between the Firefox browser and the web server. Right, so basically, we will use Wireshark in the following example in order to catch the requests with the appropriate methods from the browser and from the web server. The screenshot below from Wireshark shows the text sent by our browser in red and the web server response in blue. As you can tell, a lot of information is exchanged between the client and the server that does not get rendered to the user. Examples include the web server version and when the page was last modified. So request information, a response from the server. Right, so this is the standard request for HTTP. Get root HTTP version. Here is the host, the connection, and then more HTTP headers. I believe we'll go more in depth on these later. And the response from the server, the good 200 code. There are a lot more codes than this, but 200 is basically a good response from the server. And then the data requested. As you remember, from networking concepts, we use the telnet client to connect to the web server running on machine IP at port 80. We had to send a couple of lines and host to get the page we wanted. On some servers, you might get the file without sending host anything. You can use this method to access any page and not just the default page displayed by /. To get file.html, for instance, you would say root and then file HTML, right? If in the root folder on the web server you request exists the file.html, it will respond with a 200 OK. If not, maybe 400 or something. Okay. For instance, get file okay, but depending on the web server use in use. This approach is efficient for troubleshooting as you would be talking HTTP with the server. Answer the questions below. Use Telnet to access the file flag.html on machine IP. What is the hidden flag? Okay, we'll retrieve this flag, or at least try to retrieve this flag in multiple ways. Now, as you can see, if we started the machine, you can instantly see the IP that I talked about. The machine underscore IP is basically automatically filled in. So, first method to retrieve this flag. In our browser, we just say the IP 10.10.180.153 /flag.html. When we insert this, we are presented with a hidden message. Let's inspect this. So the hidden message will be in the response, which we see it over here. Actually in the body, telnet HTTP. Telnet 10.10.180.153. Control C, and here we say port 80. Connected. Get from root flag.html. We see it over here. So we basically use Telnet to connect to this web on port 80, and then we requested from the root flag.html, and this response is what we see over here in the inspector of the browser. So let's copy this. Let's copy this and paste it over here.